Hey everybody, the angle of this video is a bit off for the videos that you're used to on this channel because this is from my cell phone, because I'm showing you my cameras in this video and comparing and contrasting. This ramble is somewhat of a Christmas haul video. I got a bunch of cool presents, the best of which came from Misty, and here it is. This is my new camcorder, and its resolution is a lot better than the other cameras that I have. Seems like people are just now beginning to do everything in 4K up from 1080p, even though a lot of people can't see better than 1080p on whatever platform they're viewing these videos on. But I wanted to get there myself. But I'm going to have a bunch of issues to start out with, because when you get a camera, you build your camera kit around it, right? The first issue I have is I don't have a bag for my new camcorder to travel with at all, because my old camera, that's how big it is, and this one is, a lot bigger. So my camera bag, I'm going to have to upsize it a bit, and there are other little odds and ends that do make a big difference when you are making films for YouTube a lot. My biggest worry about my new camera is that I want a larger battery. A battery larger than the manufacturer puts out. This battery at 4K resolution would last about 45 minutes, and I've got two of them, right? But as you guys have seen in the past, I filmed all sorts of things that last longer than an hour and a half, and I really don't want to switch batteries in the middle of the process. And some of the things that I will record, they don't have access to an outlet to plug in your camera to last even longer than that. So my previous camera, the one that you guys see me vlogging on all the time, I have had this specially custom-made battery that lasts about 8 hours on this camera for the longest time. It's actually almost doubling the size of the camera, right? Compare that to the little dinky power pack on the back of this, and you can see how I'm a little bit worried about downgrading in battery life. And so I am searching tirelessly on the internet, looking for third-party manufacturer batteries that will outlast the batteries that I have. But every generation of camera and any sort of gear comes out with its own battery set, with its own prongs that have to line up just right, and it's just not looking that good as far as, am I going to be able to find a battery that will last forever, basically. What you can expect on this channel as a sort of novelty showing up in the future is this new camera of mine has a special feature on it whereby when you flip out the view screen, on the view screen there is, right here, another camera, right? And so when I flip that out, a little picture-in-picture thing happens where you guys are now looking at the camera that is filming this, the phone, and in that little corner, and you're also looking at what is forward-facing this way. So there's an ability to have a React video to whatever I am actually live viewing through the front screen. I can react to it, and you guys can see my facial features, and it's a weird idea that I could take the React video format out into real life, where I've been making videos outside of this little creative office I have at home. And yeah, it's going to set my videos apart from others for a while, I guess, because who takes two cameras out to film at the same time, and then put one camera on themselves? Nobody does that. Also, as part of my Christmas haul, Misty got me a little smartphone Geiger counter. And what I want to use with this is a longer cable, and probably put it on a stick. And some of the videos I've made in the past have been critical of certain industries, fracking industries in particular. And what I want to do is measure the radiation coming off of the oil that these fracking industries in Colorado are producing by just going up to the oil containers and taking readings off of them. And you guys might be thinking, like, well, why would oil be contaminated with radiation, right? So there was this thing called Project Rulison here in Colorado. It's closer to Grand Junction, where I've been going to the court cases for Alexander Kolpakov. And basically they drilled 8,000 feet down and lit off a nuclear device in order to stimulate the shale that was down there for natural gas production. And this happened in like the 60s, right? Where they did that, where they drilled down, they put a capstone that says no one should drill further down than 6,000 feet because we let off a nuclear device. And if you take the epicenter of where the nuclear explosion would have happened at 8,000 feet, and then take, like, they don't want anyone to drill like further than 2,000 feet down, you could just imagine a radius of like 2,000 feet in a circle around that epicenter, right? So on the surface, at the surface level, if you were to take 2,000 feet away from that particular drill site where they dropped that nuclear bomb in, you can find various fracking pads within the expected range, where if they're trying to drill down to the exact same shale deposits that were being stimulated by a nuclear weapon in the 60s, they're going to hit that same shale, right? And just like the epicenter of the Hiroshima bomb, it's not going to be radioactive forever to the point where people can't just walk across it and just go about their day. I do realize that over time the radiation will dissipate. But what I've learned is Colorado is very rich in radioactive material in the ground, especially uranium. And so when I see fracking happening out on the eastern plains, I don't expect to see as much radioactive material in the oil that they're producing out of those wells as I would over in like Parachute or Rifle near Grand Junction, where they have had uranium mines, right? So what do I expect to find is I expect to find out on the western slope there's going to be a lot of radioactivity within the oil that they're pulling out of the ground. And people haven't been making a big deal about this, but I do want to do some calculations as far as like, well, if this is how radioactive the oil is, when it gets processed into gasoline, would it be filtered in a way where the actual gasoline won't have the radioactive materials present, you know? Because by that point it would be a very minute amount, I would hope. But it would be contaminated to some extent. And is that extent so much more than background radiation that we would have to worry about it or not? I don't know. But what I do know is I'm curious about it, and especially in situations where the fracking pads are very close to where people have their residence. You know, habitations happen like very close to a lot of the fracking pads, and we recently lost a battle on our ballots this past November as far as setbacks regarding these fracking pads, you know, away from any residence or school. So yeah, basically they can be as close as just a couple 100 feet away and pulling up nuclear material out of the ground along with the oil. So this little baby is going to help me find out whether or not there's smoke, so I can dig further and see if there's fire. That's the plan with that. That's gonna be a project that takes a while, because I'm going to want to sample by walking up to quite a few fracking wells across the state, and then plotting out, you know, is it, you know, from the east to the west, do we get an increase in the radiation readings that I'm getting off of these fracking pads? So that'll be a nice thing to film for you guys. Expect that sometime by the summertime, as I'm going to have to physically go out to many different wells in many different places. So other than that, expect some picture-in-picture video, and maybe even like surreptitiously recording people by turning my viewing window there and then just turning my camera right on somebody while I'm looking this way. I can record that way. It's been a while since I've done something like that. I did that for helping out an experiment while I was at the University of Wisconsin, where we were actually just looking for what kind of eye motions or head motions people made when they passed each other on the sidewalk. And for that experiment, they were measuring the head bop thing, where you acknowledge someone, or winking, stuff like that, and recording surreptitiously by pointing a camera in the wrong direction when it actually shot sideways. So I've got all sorts of ideas of what I could do with a little secondary camera like that. So watch this space. I think some good stuff's going to come out. I do start grad school in January, and so you can expect a lot of the feelings that I have when I'm exposed to certain things to come out on this channel, and probably the ironically the amount of videos, the volume is going to go up the less time that I have to actually make videos. It's weird that free time can be paralyzing as far as your creativity, but as soon as you start doing a whole bunch of stuff and you start having more feelings about things, you start making more videos. So look for that too. and ramble over. I'm going to probably post another couple urban exploring videos on this channel, and then we'll see where we go from there.